Ikechukwu was a successful and wealthy man who lives in a city of Aba. He has made his fortune through various business ventures and is married to his beloved wife Ijeoma, a loving and devoted woman. Their marriage was deeply passionate one, but despite their efforts, they are unable to conceive a child for many years. But what Ijeoma doesn't know is that Ikechukwu belongs to an ancient and powerful occultic kingdom, one that has granted him wealth and power in exchange for a dark and terrible price. This kingdom requires sacrifice, particularly the blood of the firstborn son of its members, to maintain their power and influence. The couple faces great sorrow as years pass with no child. Their friends and neighbors begin to worry about their inability to have children. But Ikechukwu remains calm and keeps the truth hidden. His connection to the occultic kingdom becomes even more strained as the years go on, and his need for a son intensifies. People around their environment began to advise his wife to visit church to know whether their problem was spiritual. One day, as Ijeoma was coming back from her shop, a neighbor stopped her and advised her to go and visit a powerful man of God in the town for prayer and know the actual problem behind their problem. But when Ijeoma got home, she waited for her husband to return home. Immediately, Ikechukwu came back. His wife Ijeoma served him food. When Ikechukwu was through with his food, Ijeoma, his wife, called him and said, "My Odogu husband, I have something that is bothering me." And the husband answered her and encouraged her to say what is bothering her. And she said, "My husband, it's about our childlessness. As I was coming back from my shop, I met one of our neighbors who was advising me to visit prayer house to know whether our predicament is spiritual or not." As Ijeoma was about to end the discussion, her husband stood up in anger and warned his wife and said, "Woman, don't ever try and mention any prayer house in my house again. Don't try to listen to anybody. Our God will give us children at the appointed time. Please be calm before you enter a wrong place." That night, Ijeoma was in a bad mood and didn't sleep throughout the night. Ijeoma lost her confidence as a woman. She wet her pillow with tears every night. But deep down Ikechukwu, he knows that he was the cause of the problem and why him and his wife didn't give birth. One fateful morning, Ikechukwu woke up in the morning feeling so unhappy. He woke up with a big thought. He dressed up to go and see his grandmaster to provide solution to his childlessness. When he got to their chamber, he pleaded to the grandmaster to give them children, even if it's one. The grandmaster told him that even if he managed to give him a child, that the child would be taken away from them later. Ikechukwu accepted to get a child from their kingdom to prove to people around them that his wife wasn't barren. He thanked his grandmaster and left. Finally, after 10 years of marriage, Ijeoma becomes pregnant. The couple was excited, especially Ikechukwu, though his happiness was mixed with anxiety, as he knows that his blessing comes with a terrible price. Ijeoma was so happy that she would soon become a mother. She started buying plenty things for the arrival of the newborn. People around her started buying gifts and presents for Ijeoma for the arrival of the new baby. But while all this was going on, Ikechukwu was not happy because he knows very well that the baby won't last. It was an agreement between him and the grandmaster. 2 months before the arrival of the baby, Ijeoma had bought millions of gifts for her unborn baby, but unknowingly to her that she would lose her baby after giving birth to the baby. 2 months later, Ijeoma gave birth to a healthy baby boy who they named Osita. Their happiness is overwhelming, and a brief time the couple is blissful. Ikechukwu role in the occultic kingdom becomes more urgent, and he begins to feel the weight of his commitment. As Osita grows, the pressure from the occultic kingdoms grows stronger. Ikechukwu knows that his position within the occultic kingdom demands sacrifice. His son, being his firstborn, must be offered to the kingdom in a blood ritual. Ikechukwu struggled internally with his duty, torn between his love for his son and his obligation to the kingdom. Ikechukwu begins to act strangely, disappearing for a long period. He becomes more withdrawn and erratic, and Ngozi starts to sense something is wrong. She suspects that Ikechukwu, her husband, might be hiding something from her, but she cannot put her finger on it. The occultic kingdom demands the sacrifice, and Ikechukwu, now consumed by fear and guilty, prepares for the unthinkable. He plans to offer Osita during a dark ancient ritual that will ensure his position in the kingdom remains unchallenged. On the day of the sacrifice, the ritual is set to take place on the night of a full moon. Ikechukwu prepares everything, but on the eve of the ritual, Ijeoma overhears a conversation between Ikechukwu and a member of the occultic kingdom. She learns the terrifying truth about the occultic demands and the sacrifice her husband plans to make. Her heart broken and devastated, Ijeoma confronts Ikechukwu, demanding to know if it is true. In a moment of despair, Ikechukwu confesses the truth. He tells her that he must carry out the sacrifice to save their wealth and ensure their family's survival within the kingdom. He begs her to understand, but Ijeoma is consumed by grief and shock. She collapses, heartbroken, and fainted on the spot from the emotional shock. Ikechukwu, in a fit of horror and realization, cannot bring himself to sacrifice his son. He desperately tried to protect Osita from the kingdom, but his power within the occultic world is no longer enough to shield him from the consequences of his actions. However, the occultic kingdom, furious at Ikechukwu's betrayal, punishes him for his defiance. They take Osita, completing the ritual and ensuring the boy's death. Ikechukwu's wealth and position crumble, and the kingdom cast him aside. Ikechukwu was left broken and alone, the weight of his action now fully crushing him. He watches as everything he built collapses, and the horrific truth of his choice consumes him. In the room, the walls of line with ancient symbols that glowed faintly in the dark. Ikechukwu stood at the altar, his hand trembling, his heart racing. The flinking candle lights cast long shadows across the cold stone floor, a sole reminder of the ritual that was about to unfold. His son Osita laid in the crib beside him, sound asleep. The child's soft breath was the only sound in the room. A stark contrast to the oppressive silence that hung over Ikechukwu. For the first time in years, he felt conflicted, no broken. He had always known this moment would come. The occultic kingdom had chosen him as a member because of his ambition, his desire for power, and the wealth he had so eagerly sought. But now, standing here with his son, he wondered if it had been worth it. The price of his riches, the power he wielded, was it worth the death of his own blood? Ikechukwu closes his eyes, but images flooded in the anywhere. the shadow figures of the kingdom, their hollow voice echoing in his mind, reminding him of his debts. The only way to maintain his place in their world was to offer his son as a sacrifice. It was a blood oath. It was unbreakable. His thoughts were shattered by a soft voice from the door. Ikechukwu, what are you doing? Ikechukwu turned, his heart sinking. Ijoma stood in the doorway, her face pale, her eyes filled with confusion and fear. She had never seen him like this, not once in their 10 years of marriage. The horror in her eyes matches the horror he felt deep in his bones. Ikechukwu, he whispered. Ijoma whispered his voice. I didn't want to find out, but kingdom, they demand a sacrifice. Tears filled Ijoma's eyes. She took a few steps forward, her voice trembling. A sacrifice? Our son? Ikechukwu's heart shattered as he nodded, unable to lie anymore. They will destroy us if I don't do this. The wealth, the power, it all comes with a price. Ijoma's face twisted in anguish. She stepped towards him, trembling as if she wanted to reach him but couldn't. How could you? She whispered, her voice breaking. How could you do this to him? To us. Ikechukwu reached out, but she recoiled. I am sorry, Ijoma. I didn't want to do this, but I have no choice. Ijoma collapsed to her knees, clutching her spirits, her breathing grew shallow, her body trembling as she tried to comprehend the horror before her. You have sold our son to them? For what? Power? Money? She gasped, unable to understand. I didn't want this. I didn't. Ikechukwu voice faltered, and he fell to his knees beside her. I love you. Ijoma, I love him. But it was too late. Ijoma's eyes locked onto his with one final look of betrayal. Her chest heaved once more before she fell limp in his arm, her breath gone, her heart broken beyond repair. No, Ikechukwu screamed, his voice torn with grief. He shook her, desperate, but there was no response. His wife was gone. The child in the grave stared, unaware to the tragedy unfolding. Ikechukwu looked at him, his mind lost in the agony of his action. He had made the ultimate sacrifice, a sacrifice he could never undo. The occultic kingdom would come for Osita, and Ikechukwu would pay the price for his betrayal. But now, with the weight of his actions upon him, he wondered if anything would ever be enough to amend for what he had done. Guys, I hope you find this story interesting. What moral lesson do you learn from this story? Please kindly subscribe to my channel at African Tales by Ifenkili. Like and share with family and friends. Turn on your notification buttons and stay tuned for more interesting and mind-blowing stories.